What is up, you guys? Bryan, the Beekeeping Realtor here, and today we're gonna check on how the bees are doing. Fingers crossed everyone's grown a ton since the last time we were here, so if they've all grown up, we're gonna be putting boxes underneath all of our beehives and giving them enough room. We're gonna get a count of how many of them have grown nice and big and strong, and then we're gonna order some queens, and next time we do this video, it's not gonna be this video, but next video will be us making all new beehives out of all of these hives as they grow. So let's take a look and see how the bees are doing. All right, so let's see how our first hive is doing. Beautiful. So if you guys remember when we were looking at these same hives, I don't even know how long ago it was. It was a couple weeks ago, about a month ago, I think. They were about a half a box. So now what we want to do is we want to figure out if we have enough bees here to make another colony. To make a new colony, we want at least 6 frames of comb with stuff on it. It looks like there's stuff on this frame. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This frame looks empty. So this hive isn't ready yet. But that's okay. They'll grow up soon. All right, let's check out this second one. Oh, they died. They're out. No good. Whenever we have an out, oh, there's water in there again. This water just did not do well with some of these hives. Yeah, it smells horrible. All right. Don't die, don't fall in the creek. If you fall down there, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'll be very worried, but also I'm gonna laugh a lot if you're okay.
I would
so
love it.
Yeah, that's kind of nice to be honest.
On one hand, I'm sorry that happened. On the other hand, I mean, it's fucking funny, bro. So,
she looks like a nice cool refreshment.
Damn, another out. Is it full of water too?
Is that primarily lids?
Yeah. This one just died. Lots of dead hives. Whenever they're dead, we try to leave them on their sides like this. It lets airflow go through. If you like close them all up, the wax moth just tear the whole thing up. So if it's on its side like this, the airflow keeps the wax moth from growing. Okay, again, looking at it, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean,
half maybe.
Yeah, I mean, like if I really wanted to check, we can pull the frames out, you know? They just needed more smoke. When they get double size, it's not that they're meaner, it's just there's a lot of bees.
Just more.
So like when we open up this frame, absolutely nothing, right? So we know that they always are symmetrical. So it's probably only 4 frames of stuff, so not even a lot. I'm not gonna lie, I expected this yard to look crazy. So again, like it's 4 frames at most, and there's just not enough bees. When we're doing splits, we need enough bees to keep the babies warm. So it's just not even close. It looks healthy, but like even that one that was a double forever ago, that you would think would be fucking massive. Like it's not, like when you tipped it, you're like, yeah, it's kind of heavy. You didn't go like, oh, fuck, which is the kind of sound you'd make if it was fucking massive, right?
Yeah.
Tip like this and go 1, 2, 3, 4. This one might be good enough, maybe. Keep losing the white pea.
Oh yeah, sorry. The camp is falling.
So this one's like maybe almost big enough, kind of. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It might have 6. I really want to make new beehives because we're supposed to move like 10 or so onto El Campeon. I thought basically every one of these hives was going to be big enough to split. And the fact that basically none are is kind of super concerning. It also makes sense that our removals aren't popping off if this is what the native bees are doing.
Yeah. You think it's just the weather?
Yeah. This one's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like almost big enough. But still much smaller than I expected this time of year. One, two, three, four. So this might be the only one we can split. Like, we maybe have two here.
That's a good one.
So I don't think it needs a box. We could split it, but it doesn't need a box. So, a couple things to notice. First of all, we got on this lid here all kinds of ants.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about ants. Technically, you can put them on a stand, do all that kind of stuff, but it's just not economically viable. And you can't really spray anything because anything you spray also hurts the bees. So it just is what it is.
What about traps?
You can do bait, but in my experience, they're like honey way more than whatever bait you put out. So.
Oh yeah. That makes
So this didn't go anywhere near how I expected today. But looks like we might have two we can split, and we lost 2 hives. So we're looking at a slow spring. So let's head on over to our other locations and see if those bees are looking any better. So what I'll always want when we check the bees is a count of, like, a count, first of all, how many hives we have in singles and doubles, and then a count for what we want. So like for this yard, if we're going to do splits, they're gonna grow. So I'm gonna call that one, we got 2, 3, so we have 4 splits here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hives, 4 splits, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 hives, 4 splits. So for our Ojai yard, we're down to only 6 hives. They keep dying on me and they're really not growing like they normally do in the spring. So that's okay. They don't seem to be having a really big nectar source. And as much as, you know, the oranges look like they should be doing good, when we actually take a close look, there's no bloom yet. Like as we look at these guys here, they're not quite open yet. So it's not super surprising that we're getting kind of a slower start just because the flowers aren't open. Once they do, we'll start going crazy. So for now, we only have 6 hives. We're gonna make 4 new ones the next time we come out, and we're gonna see how soon we can get queens. Let's head on out to the next yard. All right, so now we're out here in Hidden Valley. We're gonna check our corner yard. We have 2 locations out here in Hidden Valley. We're trying to get to a 3rd, but the yard looks really quiet. I'm not seeing bees around. They're actually gonna check right now. So let's take a look and see what we got going on.
Cameraman duties. What up?
All right, so it doesn't look good. So the first hive we have, all gone. Second hive, all gone. Wow. This third hive, I mean, they're here, but it's only 2 frames of bees. Not what they should look like in the spring. Do we have any other bees here? That's it. So we have 1 small hive. Going into winter, this was my biggest yard. This looked great. They were all volunteers. They were all super strong, and we've lost all of them. So now we got to figure out where we're going to get this population up from. And that's one of the biggest things that we get all of the time in beekeeping is, well, don't you get the bees? Well, don't you, you know, make a lot of money off the hives? But for all of the thousands of dollars we've spent on feed and queens and everything else, we're down to 1 very weak hive. So let's go take a look at the last yard and see what we end up with. So now we're at our last yard out here in Hidden Valley, and I'm just gonna be honest, I'm not seeing much. So it kind of seems like we've had a massacre. So let's see what we got going on here. Hopefully we have good news. All right, well, this is still a solid 2 frames, so that's, at least it's alive. This one's dead. I mean, we don't have mass dead bodies, so
They left.
they left, which is usually Varroa, but we treated for Varroa, and it's not the right time of year for Varroa, so That one's dead. We got an earwig farm. Creepy gross. Hey, this one's alive. Again, we got like 3 frames. So not splittable on that one. Dead. What is going on?
What?
So do these big hives have anything in them?
Yeah.
There's no way these big boys died because those are...
Yeah, they're still going. The bees are still moving in and out.
Alright, so I mean these ones that were big
Seem to be alright.
before the cold seemed to come out fine, but the ones that were small going in did not make it at all.
Popping.
These ones were not nice bees. So,
Yeah, I think these were the assholes. These ones? I think so.
alright, so we've got, I mean, God, we just had like, what, 4 hives go away? 1, 2. Is there anything in that box over there with the little metal lid?
Yeah.
This is the metal lid survived again.
Yeah, damn. It's got a few. Like that's the 2
That's
or 3
the
frame
ant one. Okay.
Yeah.
And then what about this last guy dinking around over here? Anybody home here? Yeah, gone. So tip it out. Oh, these ones died though. They froze, looks like.
Yeah.
I mean, they died in the hive. Something had a major...
If they froze, wouldn't they be on the frames?
I'm sure that some are. No, they're not on the frames. Yeah, so that one's ready for sure.
Yeah.
So you can just put that back together. So we do need 2 queens for that one. 2 full boxes of bees, wonderful. So that needs like 4. Okay, so realistically, out of all of our boxes, we had 3 that were doubles that survived, and they're all really mean. There's only 1 double in Ojai, right, guys? And it was mean. So these 3 doubles that are aggressive did great. The singles that were super docile all died. So my options are, we split these hives and we put more docile bees in it and hope they turn out okay. Or we split these and we have mean but like strong bees that survived this crazy winter that was like the purge. Part of me says we make queens out of what we have. Granted, they're kind of mean. They're not a lot mean. I mean, we're not as covered as we could be, but at least they survived. I vote we make a bad decision and we make some aggressive bees and see what happens. So I'm thinking that's what we're gonna do. I don't love the decision. I wish we could keep nice bees, but they all died. Let's give this a go. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna split these hives into somewhere between half and fourths, probably in half. We're gonna split these hives in half and we're gonna let them make their own queens. And hopefully that, well, either they'll all die and now we have no more aggressive bees, or they all live and we have a lot more beehives, but they're aggressive and survivors. So, again, tough decisions, but let's give it a go. So what we need to do is we need baby bees, like baby larvae, in both boxes. We need about half the stuff in both boxes. In theory, this bottom box should have less stuff. Is this the bottom box?
Yeah.
It wasn't on the pallet before?
No.
Okay. So in theory, this bottom box is the one that we added, so it should have very little. That top box is the original box. It should be very full. So the best way to do this is going to be to go through this box and see what we got going on. So I don't know if you guys can see very well, but we have hive beetles like crazy. I've never seen hive beetles in a living hive like this before. That's pretty incredible. So they're making queen cells, so they're already thinking about swarming, which is why it's important that we do what we're doing, because if we don't split our bees, they'll put some baby queens in there, and then this hive will fly off. So when the hives get too big, you have to split. It's a byproduct of keeping bees. While it's not necessarily like the ultimate goal, all of the products we get, from honey to more bees, all that stuff is just made from the bees doing their thing. It's not necessarily like, you know, us going in with the motivation. It's that this time of year the bees have extra bees. And so that's why we have to do what we do. I'm worried, I don't see any eggs. If we have no eggs, we can't split it.
Yeesh. Like no fresh laid egg?
It's all old brood and hatched out and like open. There's no eggs or larvae so far.
That's not a great sign.
There's a couple baby larvae in this one. So this is weird because we're in spring. You can probably even see all the mustard and flowers in the background. After taking a good look at this first hive, I thought we could turn it into 2 because it was so big. But after I looked at it, they weren't even a full box of stuff. They're missing a ton of, they have almost no babies. They have basically, they have no honey at all. So rather than turning it into 2 hives, ow, that hurt. Instead of turning it into 2 hives, we turned it into 1 hive. So let's take a look at the other one and see, you know, how it's actually doing. But this is by far one of the weirdest, if not the weirdest things I've ever seen in my bee yards. So this box is kind of a problem because it wasn't ours. We rescued it from someone's home, and it has a medium, which is a half-size box on the top. So we can't really trade the boxes like we could with my stuff, because my stuff, if you'll notice, they're all deep boxes, so they're all interchangeable. But when customers buy boxes from the bee companies, they've got these half-size boxes, which are honey mediums, honey supers, and deep boxes. And so we end up with kind of this mess. So I don't even necessarily know if we can do anything with this. But after seeing what happened to this guy, I want to see what's going on here. Whenever I'm keeping track as I'm working, I always do a little tilt like this. Not this dramatic, but like this, so I know that these are brewed and I can kind of keep track of what's what. But again, absolutely no honey. You would expect to see honey on the top, and there's no honey in this box. And I was hoping by this time of year that they would be packing it in at the top. Alright, so let's see what we got going down here in the actual brood chamber box. Pretty much completely normal to see nothing on the outermost frame, so I'm not surprised at all by that. Wow, we got brood all the way out here. So on one hand, it's a lot harder to find the queen when you smoke the shit out of them. But also, we can't not smoke the shit out of this one. This is nuts. I mean, these are definitely partially Africanized. They're not full-blown. If they were full-blown, it would be much, much, much worse. But they're sure as shit not European. I can barely even see the frame through all the bees.
They do not like you.
Nope. I mean, they're on you too. It kind of works. They're like landing on your neck on the like zipper. So our only surviving hives are super aggressive, in case you can't tell. I think what we do about this is we just rip it in half and see what happens. If we're I don't know if we're lucky we'll have 2 hives. If we're lucky it's dead, I don't know. But we really can't leave it alone. It's too aggressive, and if we leave it alone, it's gonna swarm, it's gonna hurt somebody. So we're just gonna rip it in half and see which, if either of the halves survives, and go from there. So we had to get away from the bees. Those were just too darn mean, and we'll see what happens with that really aggressive one that we split. But, you know, last year, I really put my blood, sweat, and tears into making sure that this year was a killer bee year. We bought some of the best queens I could find. We used some of the most popular and effective mite medications. We did a lot of things right and did a lot of upgrades. And at the end of the day, we've got a bunch of dead bees. So, you know, what happened? I think that we got hit by a lot of things. I think that because I changed mite medications and I used the most popular brands, hoping to, you know, be really effective, I think that it's being overused, and I think that my mite medications were not as effective as they're supposed to be. I think that I didn't buy the best lids, and I think that we're really paying for that. I should have spent the extra money for the more fancy lids, but we spent that budget on other aspects of beekeeping that I thought would be more important because we don't usually get this much rain. And then last, and certainly most important, I think, is that for whatever reason, the bees aren't finding food. I don't understand how. I mean, even as I'm walking here, I think you can probably see flowers in the background. So why they're not finding food, I have no idea. So, you know, we're gonna get our bees back, we're gonna grow more, we're gonna rescue more, but, you know, for now, I wasn't expecting this to happen today at all, and we're gonna have to really start from scratch and really do some big things to save more bees. So, you know, in the meantime, if you need to make a move, call Castro. I would love to have some real estate business now that the bees are looking a little rough. And, you know, let's save some bees, let's sell some homes, and let's try to make 2024 the best year ever.